I feel like I'm not a part of this community. I just feel like a imposter. And I think that's just what imposter syndrome is to its core, just feeling like you don't belong.
Welcome back to another episode of What About Us, the podcast where we discuss the intersectionality of eating disorders, identity, white supremacy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Meileen Arroyo, and today's guest is Pragya Kollu. Our topic for today is navigating imposter syndrome. Pragya will be sharing her experience navigating that little voice in your head that constantly says you're not enough, and how this intersects with her cultural identity as both an Indian and American woman.
My name is Pragya. I am an 18-year-old Indian woman who is originally from Wilsonville. I'm a freshman at University of Oregon, majoring in advertising. College life in general has been really different. It's definitely been an adjustment. I'm still kind of getting used to being able to make my own decisions and kind of having that independence that I didn't really have that much before. I just think it's really nice getting to meet a lot of new people, and I've been making so many new friends, and yeah, it's just been really awesome so far.
So, imposter syndrome is a complex phenomenon with many critiques, definitions, and interpretations. But in the most simplest words, imposter syndrome can be described as an internal experience of doubting your abilities, largely applied to a person's intelligence and achievements. Pragya, how would you define and describe imposter syndrome?
From my personal understanding, imposter syndrome for me has kind of felt like this small voice in your head telling you you're not enough, you don't deserve to be here.
Tell me about your experience with imposter syndrome.
I've kind of been dealing with imposter syndrome for as long as I remember. I've always had this terrible habit of comparing myself to others. Like I would see someone's LinkedIn profile and they have done so many like internships, volunteer opportunities, and I would be like, wow, they're so accomplished and I'm just not, which is honestly like not true. I knew that, but I just couldn't stop feeling that way, you know?
Totally. That LinkedIn feeling is so real.
Yes.
I'm a chronic LinkedIn person. Like, I will be on it 24/7. I think especially being women of color in a very competitive career field such as advertising and journalism,
Yes.
it can be very hard to kind of see yourself represented in that field. And
right, yeah.
like you said, you almost kind of get this feeling of, oh, do I actually deserve to be here?
With all of that being said, can you tell me about a specific moment when you felt like an imposter and you felt like you didn't belong?
I think being part of robotics, when I joined robotics in high school, I joined kind of late and kind of everyone there already knew each other and they were already friends. And like going to the competitions, I just felt so out of place because like everyone was so used to the competitions and they knew like all the cheers and they knew what to do. And I was just sitting there like, I don't belong here. Just so weird, like just sitting there and feeling like, oh, I feel like I'm not a part of this community. I just feel like a imposter. And I think that's just what imposter syndrome is to its core, just feeling like you don't belong.
And are there certain situations and spaces that trigger those feelings and thoughts of feeling like an imposter?
Definitely when I see that someone has been more successful than me, especially if they're like have a background similar to mine. I'm like, oh wow, they're like me and they're so accomplished, but I am just not. But now in college, I feel like it's just easier to feel like you belong just because there are so many people and there are so many opportunities. I feel like I'm being less hard on myself nowadays just because I'm so new to college. I don't have to have everything figured out. I learned that it's okay to stumble. It's okay to not know what is next on your path.
Here's a quick food for thought from May. About 70% of Americans experience imposter syndrome, and that percentage increases in academia. According to Brown University, study shows that imposter syndrome scores are higher for historically underrepresented groups, such as students of color, first-generation students, and women in STEM. In this social context, academic pressures, comparison to white peers, a fear of not belonging, and financial challenges in college can heighten imposter feelings and self-doubt. Let's go back to the episode.
Pragya, have you noticed any stereotypes about Indian Americans that influence how you see yourself?
So many, yeah. There are so many stereotypes about Indians. I think the biggest one that we're super smart. So since we're super smart, we must absolutely excel in everything. And I think that mindset is very harmful. And I am training myself to kind of let go of that because perfection is a myth, in my opinion. You can never truly be perfect. You can never be truly the best at anything and everything. So I think, yeah, stereotypes in general are really harmful because they perpetuate false expectations, especially of people of color.
Has there been a turning point where you realize that maybe you do deserve being here and that you do belong here and that you are enough?
Yeah, I feel like definitely my senior year, things started to calm down a little bit. I was not stressing as much. I was applying to colleges, which was maybe a little bit stressful, but not as stressful as junior year. And then I got accepted and I was like, okay, well, I guess they see my potential. So I kind of tried to shift into that mindset and I was like, okay, no more feeling like I don't belong anymore because I got accepted into college. I got awards. I am a great person and I am going to go on to do great things. So I think that mindset shift has helped me so much with kind of reframing my thoughts and the way that I perceive things.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
The common narrative of imposter syndrome places emphasis on the individual. People of color are constantly told it's their problem for feeling a certain way. The voice says, "You are an imposter. You can do better. You should just give up." It's always you. But imposter syndrome doesn't just appear from nowhere. Rather than blaming yourself, think, why do I feel this way? What is holding me back? Imposter syndrome comes from the systems we are in. It is a response to systems of oppression. Powerful institutions and systems of classification create social distinctions that condition people of color to believe they lack intelligence, willpower, and are undeserving of claiming space. Imposter syndrome is not a personal failing, but a systemic issue at large.
Do you think that imposter syndrome will ever fully go away? Or is it something that you kind of just have to learn to manage?
I don't think it will ever fully go away, but I think it will gradually decrease over time. I don't think there's going to be a time where I ever feel like, oh, okay, I'm on top of the world. This is it. I've accomplished everything. I'm the best. Woo! There will always be like, oh, well, you could have done this, or this person is doing so much better than you. But I feel like definitely it's something you're going to learn to manage, and it's not going to last forever.
How has finding community on campus been like for you?
It has been really rewarding, especially finding a community of people of color. I just recently joined SACA, South Asian Cultural Association.
Amazing.
And it's been amazing. I've met so many cool Indian people, and I'm like, oh wow, in a world that's so predominantly white, it's so nice to have that sense of community of other people of color that you can relate to. But like in general, finding community and finding new friends has been really amazing. I've met so many people with different backgrounds, different experiences, different perspectives, and it's just been really cool.
What would you say to another Indian American student, maybe that's still in high school or is just starting college, who is also dealing with imposter syndrome?
I'll definitely tell them that it gets better over time, and to just keep doing what you're doing. And it's okay if you don't have anything figured out, because that's what college is for, right? You're figuring out your path and you're figuring out where you want to go. So don't stress.
Has anyone ever explicitly told you, Pragya, you don't belong here?
No. Thankfully, no. But definitely in my mind, I felt like that.
I think that's also another thing I think a lot about too. I kind of remind myself, well, no one explicitly has ever told me that.
That's true. Yeah, I like to think of it like, okay, if a friend said that she was feeling like an imposter, would you tell her that she doesn't belong here? And then, of course, I'd be like, no. So then I'd be like, okay, well, why am I treating myself like that? Why do I tell myself these things when I wouldn't tell a friend that?
How do you think imposter syndrome has impacted your life?
It has definitely kind of held me back from participating and kind of contributing to things just for the fear of that I'd be judged and people would be like, oh, what she's doing is stupid, you know? Yeah, it's definitely kind of kept me from sharing out my thoughts.
Are there any last words, thoughts that you have?
Do not be afraid to reach out to other people and get the help and support that you need. You're not a burden. You're not taking up anybody's time. You are important, and your mental health especially is important.
Thank you, Pragya, for joining me in today's episode. Check out the description for more information on how to be a guest and follow my creative account at @inmaysmind_. That is at INMEISMIND_ for more podcast updates and creative content. Before I go, one thing to take away from this episode is to focus on your path and live at your own pace. Comparing yourself to others will only keep the cycle of imposter syndrome going. Claim your space and own it. Your host, Meileen, signing off.